What's up, guys? Welcome back to the That's Sowdev podcast. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. We got some real tea to get into today, okay? But before we get into the tea, make sure you go ahead and follow me at That's Sowdev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, including YouTube. If you're streaming over there, give this a like and subscribe because more is obviously coming. Now, girl, let me start by saying, listen up. This week's episode of Jersey Shore and next week's episode of Jersey Shore will both be covered on the next podcast. I will be watching those both in a row and discussing them after. This episode, I wanted to take the time to discuss some issues, right? Now, before I get into this episode, I think you have a feeling about what I'm going to speak on. So you have the option to close this out or keep listening. Either way, that is up to you. And let me also start by saying this podcast is made with hella love and hella draggings. But first and foremost, hella love, okay? Now, this podcast is for every Black person who is a supporter and loyal watcher of Jersey Shore and has been from day one, or even new who just got on it. Because not everybody was like me and was there when the show was actually airing originally. Anyway, that's besides the point, bitch. So, we have a little issue on our hands, besties. So, as it turns out, Vinny popped his ass up at a Trump rally. And ironically, it happened to be the most racist rally that I have seen from the Trump campaign since 2000. No, not since any time per se, but generally speaking. And look, here's the bottom line, right? Trump has been a racist human being from day one. I mean, we all know about the little scandal about the black tenants. That's not a secret. We know about him calling for the Central Park 5 Black and Latino men to be executed. Yeah, to be killed, even after being exonerated. And he continued his dangerous rhetoric about them up until the debate. Decades and decades and decades of racism right there. That's just one example. That's one example. So I don't even have to get into every last little itty bitty thing. But, this rally that Vinny attended with his mom, what did it do? It had a shit ton of racism, starting with A. Oh, Black people are watermelon carvers. Because, we aren't normal people who carve pumpkins for fucking Halloween. We are Black people who, what have the racist people been saying about it for years? Fried chicken, watermelon, and fucking Kool-Aid. And that was given a platform at the rally that Vinny was just so obsessed with. Puerto Rico, a floating pile of garbage. Are you joking? A whole rally of just racism and sexism and misogyny and flat out just fascism. That is what that rally represented. That is what Trump platformed, because that is who Trump is. So he brought upon people who reflect the same values as he does. And now here's what's interesting to me, right? Because every Black person who's watched Jersey Shore and feels some type of way about it, don't you, as another fan of Jersey Shore, demean what this moment is to them, especially if you aren't Black. Hello. Don't speak on nothing for them. Don't speak on nobody who feels the type of way who's Latino, especially if you're not. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. We have every right to feel the way that we do. Because this is what people do. And this is a form of manipulation. I'm going to call this shit out right now. I'm tired of people saying, oh, it shouldn't matter who someone else is fucking voting for, bitch. This isn't Mitt Romney and Obama. It's not. This isn't Republican versus Democrat. This is country versus MAGA at this point. I've had enough. And if you don't have the ability to see past that, you are in a privileged bubble. And you have no business saying that anybody does not have a right to feel the way that they feel in regards to someone who they love and supporting racism. Because racism not being a deal breaker for somebody who you support is a massive thing for somebody who experiences racism every single day. It doesn't matter. If you're black, if you're Latino, you're facing racism in your face while you're outside, on your phone directly, any which way. You're facing it when you go to the doctor. When the doctor tells you, well, and a doctor has flat out told me this. Well, we can't tell what this is because we're taught in books on white skin what things are. So I'm going to send you here, here, and here so that way we can get you help, right? But in somebody's mind, they're like, oh, well, they weren't able to help you, so they sent you to somebody who did. But the simple fact is that you can't come across every American and be able to help them. That is systematic racism going into the healthcare system. Racism is everywhere for us. Everywhere. So when you support racism under the entire fucking bubble. And when you have people, specifically white people, who don't reflect us in what we look like in our values, you have policies and everything under the sun that don't reflect us. Hello, you want men, white men, in charge of women's health care with a dangerously high black maternal death rate. How are they going to be able to see that? How are they going to be able to handle that? Right? But also stopping all kinds of abortions that will help people, and especially with a black maternal death rate. If they need to abort, if they need to get rid of a child to help a mother further along to be able to have children after that, for her to not die, that is important. And if you have the ability to turn away from whatever experiences we call out, you are privileged. So to see Vinny step his ass inside of a Trump rally and to think his reasoning, anybody that Dick Cheney votes for, I'm not voting for, that is privilege. That right there is privilege. Anybody who's telling anybody else, you don't need to be upset, you shouldn't be mad, or who anybody votes for, blah, 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 you are privileged. Wake that shit the fuck up. Because I'm seeing way too much of it. It started back then. Obviously, I knew Mike supported Trump from 2016, right? Obviously, after that, time had passed. The reboot came back later. And I think that after that election, it seemed to me like, honestly, all hope was gone. Until it wasn't, right? So 2020, here we are, blah, 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 blah. I'm reminded again of who supports who. And for so long, I tried to overlook it and overlook it and overlook it. But I can't. I can't. And it all was a domino effect. Once I saw Mike take that picture with Trump earlier this year, and then Vinny being at that rally. I don't know who all on the cast actually supports Trump, right? So let's break this down a little bit, right? So I don't know if Jenny supports Trump. She follows Kamala. But her man, he is a Trump supporter. Sammy is not involved in any political things whatsoever. But her man follows Donald Trump Jr. So it's an issue of where you now have to, okay, so your man supports this, you support this. So you believe you both can vote for whoever you want to, and that's fine, right? Because you can live in the same household and have a difference of opinion. And the difference of opinion is black people are watermelon carvers, Puerto Rico is a floating pile of garbage, and the other one is, well, women's right to choose. If you have the ability to even say that, well, we can agree on different foundational human beliefs and human rights, you're in a place of privilege. I was saying to my friend, you want to be openly honest about this shit? Well, let's go back into history. The women standing behind their men. Hello? Women also didn't have the right to vote. So I'm not really sure why there are women standing behind other men who want to take away the right to choose. That is a right to choose. Autonomy over your body. Hello. Enough is enough. So, what infuriates me is people who also watch the show trying to demean how it feels to people to be betrayed, because that is a form of betrayal. If you can dim this shit down, and I will say it a billion times, if you can minimize this situation to simply being about voting Democrat or Republican, you are privileged. If you're saying we can still disagree and still be friends, you are privileged. We're not talking about pizza toppings. We're talking about human rights. And if you think it stops at women's rights, if you think they're not coming for the gays, you're wrong. Look at Clarence Thomas in the Supreme Court. Have you seen the video of Vance coming out of his mouth saying that he doesn't support things in regards to men being married? And yes, federally, there is a video. You want me to link it to you? I got you. DM me. If you think it stops here, no. Why do you think that they've separated themselves from Project 2025? Because they know it's going to tank their shit. So they want to keep it level until they get into the position where they can do whatever they want to without it causing too much backlash that's going to cost them a presidency or getting their way. You have a woman, Sammy, who is actively going through an IVF journey, and you have Vinny inside of a rally with people who want to see IVF go away, and you can say whatever you want to about it. Hello? The Republicans voted against IVF. And guess who didn't show up to the vote? J.D. Vance. Hello? Wake the fuck up. This is not simply about, well, Republican or Democrat, because Trump does not represent what the Republican Party represents. Not even a little bit. It is much better than that. I don't lean left, really. I lean more right. I have to be fucking serious. And I've never said that publicly. But what's going on right now is a disgrace to this country. I do believe in this country. I do believe everybody in this country is worth saving. Do you know how insane it is to sit here and say that, oh, well, because of my personal beliefs, I believe that this should be illegal. Bitch, you have your own beliefs. Go sit over there. Somebody else who needs an abortion to save their life or so they don't have their rapist child has nothing to do with you. Love thy fucking neighbor. I can't. And the bottom line is that there are so many of us who watch the show who believe in this shit, who believe in a democracy, who believe in a right to choose, who believes that anybody supporting racism they cannot support. I'm gonna be frank here. I'm not, and I'm gonna be dead ass serious. Watch. Don't just listen to my words, watch. I'm not tweeting Mike's name. I'm not tweeting Vinny's name. If you're associated to supporting racism, I will not be tweeting your name. And for now, I will not be live tweeting. I'll have my podcasts. For sure. I'll give my little, you know what I mean? I'm going to tune into the motherfucking show. I got my girlies that got to watch. But I'm not live tweeting, and I'm surely not mentioning their fucking names. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to care. It doesn't matter if they get dragged. They're going to feel even more valid in their position. Which is actually really fucking sad. And it says a lot about them. Well, and the unfortunate part about it is, I just sat up here and defended Vinny against shit that Jenny was saying because Jenny has been known to start drama. But ironically, some of the shit that Jenny was saying, we're seeing in Vinny right now. Like, oh my God, why you got me out here looking like a fucking clown? I can't. And yes, this shit is getting political. Thank God the election is going to be over next week. I did not want to talk about any shit political, period, at all, whatsoever, on my podcast, on my videos, or any form of media. Sure, I'll tweet it. Sure, I'll post it on Facebook. Whatever. But I did not want it to come on my platform. But now it has to. Because it wouldn't be real if I didn't. Because if I didn't address the fact that Vinny out here is supporting racism, and even Mike, it's very, very interesting. It's so interesting how people vote against their own well-being. Anybody who Dick Cheney votes for. So that's your end all be all? And then RFK, make America healthy again? Are you fucking stupid? You think that's gonna make America healthy? Bitch, you know what helped America be healthy? Michelle Obama shifting the fucking school lunches. Let's start there. My high school used to sell a whole fucking snack cart or whatever, bitch. It was unhealthy as fuck. And we were literally just going and literally not even eating lunch, but we were getting fucking cookies the whole lunch period. Nothing but it. But the transition of the lunches, we ended up starting eating like whole lunches. We were truly eating food. We were starting to get a little entree thingy, a little fruit side. Like, you know, we were genuinely eating better in school. That was helping America be healthy. Not putting a white man in charge of health and women's health and expecting him to know how to handle women's health. Are you dumb? Be so serious. It's extremely frustrating. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to say it again. Vinny supports racism. Vinny supports shit that actively goes against his friends. So does Mike. They may be nice. They maybe do nice things for each other. But I don't think people understand that this is a deep-rooted issue. These are fundamental differences. You cannot support racism. If you support racism, you enable it. You give it a platform. You give it space. And if you don't see the racism, I really don't know what to tell you, but it is pretty shitty. And you just might be too. I don't care who comes back to return to this shit to listen. If you don't disagree that supporting racism is a absolute no, this isn't the place for you. At all. I love drama. I love Jersey Shore drama down. But this is a safe space. A safe space for people who love each other and support each other, no matter the skin color. No matter if you are a true Republican or Democrat. You notice how I said true? You have MAGA Republican, you have true Republicans. This is not the Republican Party that people joined from Ronald Reagan. Absolutely no. Nope, it is not. So, with that being said, that's really all I have to address at this point, because what else is there to say? I was surprised to see it. It was a hurtful thing to see. I am a loyal fan. Very. And there are a lot of us black fans who feel like we can't support this show because of the racism. Well, I'm in a place where I'm like, I had to sit on it for a few days. I was talking to my friend and I was just like, look, I love this show. I have this podcast. I live tweet like crazy every week. You know, I'm so invested. But after learning the things that I did, you know, I tried to overlook the whole issue with Mike, and I couldn't. When it came to Vinny, it was kind of like that was the last straw for me. And to see so many people invalidate that experience is just another reminder for people who look like me out in this world that honestly some people just don't give a shit, and that's something that you have to live with. You genuinely have to live with, like, people genuinely don't care about racism because they have the privilege of looking away, of looking the other way, of not having it be something that impacts them. Some people think that to them racism is an inconvenience, and that's why when some people who are white who experience a minor inconvenience, they think that it's racism. They have no idea. They have no idea how to truly and fully comprehend how that feels. And then to know that somebody supports that and that racism isn't a deal breaker. It's insane. Look, my one little old view is not going to hurt anybody if it goes away. My one little old follow is not going to hurt if it goes away. Whatever. This isn't about that. What this is about all of those black viewers who view and watch Jersey Shore and live tweet and are passionate. This podcast is for you. This podcast is for anybody who is hurt. Your hurt is validated. It's valid. This is the safe space for you here. It's disheartening. It's disappointing. I could go on social media being all kinds of blah, 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 but what is that going to do? It's not going to change anybody's mind, and we're not here to change anybody's minds. At this point, you know what you're supporting and who you're supporting. The bottom line is, like, what are you going to do about that shit? If you're okay with that being on your conscience, fine. Whatever. Vinny's okay supporting racism? Fine. Whatever. But don't get upset when people who are impacted by racism are upset with that. There's no other way to see it. Vinny is there in support of that rally and in support of Donald Trump and those he platforms, which is racism. Oh, this black person said this. Oh, this person who's Indian said that. Congratulations. What does that have to do with me or the rest of the community? The rest of us out there who are experiencing things, 9 times out of 10, those people have some form of self-hate. They probably have a white wife if they're black. Well, look at Candace Owens. Hello? Coonery isn't a form of validation for y'all. I'm sorry. It's just not. And I think the biggest thing about it is that so many people were like, why would you be surprised, if Vinny would be racist? And there are a lot of people on social media who are not surprised. I'm genuinely surprised about the amount of people who genuinely cared and loved Vinny. I think that Vinny was the most loved guy aside from Paulie. There were a lot of people who did love him. Vinny made it a point to say that he specifically loved black women. And for Vinny to, again, I brought this up early, black maternal rates and Trump wanting to put, RFK in that position of health just in general, but also over women's health care, black maternal health rates, right? We know how many black women die in childbirth. And he is in support of putting that man in charge of all of that. So it sounds like black women are a fetish to him. It sounds like he enjoys the benefits of them while not giving a fuck about their struggles. Crazy. It's crazy to me. Because he went up on that podcast and just talking and so open, and here's my clown moment again. I'm in the comments like Vinny loves black women. What are you talking about? And it was black girls calling him out, and I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, defending down. And now I see what the fuck they talking about. Honestly, I need to be shutting my mouth some motherfucking times. You know what I mean? Well, listen to women, right? What the fuck did that prove? Listen to women continuously. Yeah, absolutely, because they were the fuck right, because everything that they motherfucking said was true. Well, oh my goodness, it is just absolutely amazing to me. I mean, with everything that's going on with Elon Musk, we all fucking know. But even him falling under the microscope of also racism as well. And yes, he has. If you want me to go find the shit for you, I literally can go send it to you directly. Anywho, we saw Pauly D asking Elon Musk for something, and it put some questions in my head. I'm like, well, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, you have a black girlfriend. So that seems kind of interesting to me, but I don't know which way he sways. Okay, I'm just saying anybody in full support of black people probably wouldn't be asking Elon Musk of anything, but whatever. That was all I've personally seen. I haven't seen anything from Pauly. I haven't seen anything from Ron. I haven't seen anything from Snooki and Dina. I have a feeling that I know who supports who. And, well, they're fortunately privileged to be able to still be friends with each other despite who one supports. Because even if they are still friends, who is any of the shit really going to fall on? Well, exactly. So, I mean, y'all, look, this is all I really have to talk about today. This is all I'm trying to cover, because the biggest questions on social media are, who else in the cast supports it? I guarantee you, minimum half of them support Trump. Without a doubt in my mind, it's probably split down the middle, and chances are probably all of the boys support Trump. Probably. I can't confirm, and I don't know for a fact. I know 2 of the boys out of 4 do. I know one has also publicly reached out to Elon Musk. So, well, I'm gonna leave y'all to do the math and all that good shit. Anyway, so like I said, I know that Jenny follows Kamala. I would love to believe that Dina and Snooki, they are, I would love to believe that they are in support of a woman's right to choose. I also would believe that Sam also would be in support of a woman's right to choose. I mean, especially as she's going through her IVF journey. So, yeah. Anywho, girl, all I'm gonna say is that you're valid. Every ounce of what you're feeling in regards to Vinny is valid. In regards to what you're feeling about Mike, it's valid. Unfortunately, the show is going to lose some viewers. I don't know what that's going to look like. But I do know that there are going to be some people who aren't going to come back. And that is the reality. And it's not simply over political views. It's over human rights. And if you're fortunate enough to not be somebody who this is directly impacted by, to where, again, you can look the other way or be like, oh, it doesn't matter who you're voting for, or you get upset in regards to why people are, quote unquote, bullying people for who they vote for. I cannot believe Vinny said that. You can't bully me for who I vote for. You think it's bullying for people to hold you accountable for supporting racism and for actively being against a woman's right to choose, and for being in support of IVF going away while Sam goes through her journey live on fucking TV, while you say that you love black women, while you're in support of a white man that's going to be in charge of women's health as black women die in high rates during black maternity. But anyway, people are quote unquote bullying you. Get the fuck out of here. Anywho, I do appreciate those who tuned in today, and those who have an experience who align with what I've been talking about. Well, I wasn't going to make this shit, but after that whole fucking idea, girl, after I saw Vinny, I knew that this podcast was coming. I knew this shit was coming, because I was like, you want to know what? It was just the final straw. I kept overlooking Mike, because the only person that I ever considered supporting Trump was Mike. I knew that Vinny, like in my head, right? I just knew that he had brains, because Vinny isn't dumb. But I'm realizing that Vinny is kind of one of those people where, like, he seems like he's chill, and I think he definitely is chill, but the whole, oh, Vinny's such a dick, cackle, 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 he actually is. I don't think that's a joke. I think that what he shows is actually how he is, which, obviously, you know what I mean? You can be like, well, hey, you want to know what? At least you're not faking none of that shit or whatever the case is. But, like, having more context now, I'm like, okay, those misogynistic jokes, or even those jokes in regards to Nikki, they're no longer funny because I look at them different. They're not tasteful anymore because I know what you believe to your core. You don't give a fuck about black women. Oh my goodness. If you did, you wouldn't have showed your motherfucking face at that motherfucking rally. anybody who Dick Cheney supports, blah, 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 blah. Vinny, this is probably why you do not have a woman now. I say that with all shade. And I can't imagine that there's going to be a woman that you actually want that's going to want you in the same way now. You're probably going to have to settle. Well, I'm just saying. We can't find it ironic that he don't have... Vinny! Oh, wow. I'm just saying. Anywho. Look. If you have the ability to label any of the accountability that one is taking as bullying, you are privileged as fuck. You are privileged as fuck. It is what it is, baby. Take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, guys, that's really all I have to say today. I honestly do not feel like talking about this anymore. I don't. I wanted to make this podcast and I wanted to move forward. And I need a little break from Jersey Shore family vacation, so I'm not going to watch this week. I'm going to watch next weekend. Nonetheless, I do appreciate those who have tuned into this podcast. You are iconic. Please make sure you're registered to vote. And if not, you can register when you go to vote. That is okay too. But make sure, regardless, you are exercising your right to vote. Okay? And make sure when you do, you vote for country over party. Okay? Period. End of discussion. Vote Kamala Harris. You may not agree with everything that she does. You may think that where Biden has made missteps, you want to blame her for that, even though she's the vice president and she doesn't handle all that shit. Please. The one thing that I ask, research. Genuinely research. And this is what I'll tell you to do. Right? The policies that they're talking about. Literally go pull them up for yourself. Physically. Go pull, and if you're having an issue finding any policies for Kamala, go to Kamala HQ and you will find your way to those policies. Go compare them side by side. Go sit there and watch each rally side by side and see the shit for yourself. That's all. Look at the shit and look at what Kamala's saying and look at what Trump is saying. They want to pull away the Affordable Care Act. Well, Donald Trump says that they have concepts of a plan. So they want to rip away your health care with no plan. Where is your interest in this? You're okay with them taking away that? And for pre-existing condition, please. My mother currently has breast cancer and is going through chemo. She will fucking lose her insurance. Dead ass. So, just saying, because a lot of people seem to think that these are games. Social Security, oh my goodness. Could you imagine? Donald Trump wants to gut that shit. If it wasn't for Social Security after my dad died, do you realize how hard it would have been for my mother raising 3 boys on her own? It was the only reason why we truly survived. The main ingredient, bitch. They want to do away with lots of things that they think people are simply mooching on because, well, they're in such privileged positions that they couldn't possibly imagine these other positions. JD Vance was like, I haven't actually heard that this is a problem that exists in regards to a woman bleeding out because she actually needed the health care. She needed proper care. People think that just because you hear the word abortion, that it means, oh my God, people just want to go around having sex and unprotected and just, keep getting pregnant and just swallowing pills and just getting rid of baby. No! Why the fuck would I believe in that shit? Be fucking for real. You take away abortion, you take away safe abortions. And that's the bottom line. End of discussion. And if you can't see beyond that because you're so stuck in what? You're so stuck in the whole killing babies shit? Get over it. You're not pro-life. Because if you were pro-life, what? Now what? You want these women to have babies. And then, once they need help with the babies, now they're mooching off the system. Now the children grows up, and now what? The child can't have lunch. They don't want the child to have lunch. They want them to make sure they take care of the lunch themselves. Bitch. School is federally mandated. You need to feed them fucking children. And if you don't think that they need to be fed, fuck you. And the child grows up because the child's struggling because they didn't have any resources for help. Now the child's mooching off your system. Don't forget, the child's brown now. So now the child's an illegal immigrant just because they don't like the way the child looks. Like, it's just a fucking domino effect to a horrible life. You want young children to have a baby of someone who is raped. These are real scenarios. It just happened recently with a 10-year-old where she was raped and forced, I believe she was 10 or 13. She was raped and she was forced to give birth to that child. And then you see situations where the parent can't even look at that child. It's absolutely insane. These are not pro-life people. Okay? No. You're pro-birth. And honestly, after that fucking birth, you don't give a fuck what happens. You just want to have control. So, anywho, y'all. Ending it on that heavy note because, fuck them. Anywho, I do appreciate you again. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Next week, we will be back on our regular schedule of a Jersey Shore family vacation. There will be no mention of Vinny or Mike on the podcast or live tweeting. I probably won't be live tweeting for a while, but I will definitely be watching next week both episodes with a review of both episodes. So stay tuned. I appreciate you. There will be no more political talk. Trust me. This is the end all be all. It will be over after the election next week. Thank God. I'm so tired. And for now, I'm going to go eat my pizza and drink my tea. You guys have been awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for streaming the That's Sowdev podcast, where you stay true and stay you, bitch. Okay? Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at That's Sowdev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else. And I will see you guys on the next podcast. Peace.